Welcome to my YouTube channel. In a prior video I showed you how to make a small signal mirror like this one here from a regular mirror and reflective tape. The topic of this video will be making the larger signal mirrors that we use for operation on target. Typically those are 12 by 12 inch mirror tiles, and we apply the aimer in the same fashion that we did for the small mirror. So the two basic topics of this video are making the 12 by 12 mirrors and also making packaging to get them safely on and off the mountain. But before I get into that, I want to touch on some safety issues. There are three basic safety rules for signal mirrors. 1, don't cut yourself. 2, don't blind anybody. And 3, don't cry wolf. The don't cut yourself part, these mirrors are glass. As they come in the package warns that the edges can be sharp as you receive them. And of course, if you break them, they'll get a lot sharper. Also, if you break them, the broken pieces may fly everywhere, and that includes into your eye. The second part, don't blind anybody. The reflected light from a mirror at close range is like looking into the sun. It's pretty much exactly like looking into the sun. You wouldn't look into the sun. You don't want other people to look into the sun inadvertently. Even at range of several hundred yards, even a small mirror like the 3 by 5 mirror here can cause after images at a couple hundred yards. So don't signal anybody, don't flash anybody at close range. Even if you don't cause them eye damage, if they're driving, you may cause an accident. Even if they're walking, they can stumble, they can be startled. Just don't do that. The don't cry wolf bit, basically signal mirrors are largely used these days as distress signals. They're sold at REI and other places to put in your backpack. If you get in trouble in the wilderness, you get lost, you break your leg, there are means by which you can communicate to people far away. So if people see random flashes coming, particularly from the wilderness, they're going to think you're in trouble, you need to send help. You really don't want to get on the bad side of emergency services. Even if they don't find you, you don't want them to be spending their time they could be using to help someone who's really in trouble. So those basic 3 rules. Don't cut yourself, don't blind anybody, and don't cry wolf. So moving on to the main topic. For operation on target, the kind of basic mirror we use is just a square foot mirror tile. I'll shuffle things here and show you the box. So mirror tile is sold for home decoration purposes typically in a box of 6, square foot by 1/8 inch. You can get 1/4 inch, that'd be a little sturdier. I don't have much experience with anything but the 1/8 inch. And so that'll come in a box like this. There are several brands. One thing is you do want to get the plain edge mirror. A lot of what you see in the stores will be the beveled edge, which gives you less light in the direction you want to go, and additional reflections in 4 different directions you didn't want. You want to have control of where the light goes. You don't want it going in 4 other directions that you don't know about. So make sure you get the plain edge tile. If you're short on time and the only thing you can find is the beveled edge, fine, get the beveled edge. But paint or mask off the beveled edges. It could be as simple as masking tape, but make sure you're not sending flashes in directions you don't want to. Alright, so in the box, as it comes, you'll find typically 6 mirror tiles. I've already used a few from this box. They'll be painted on the back, which covers the reflective surface. and mirrored on the other side. The very first thing you want to do when making your signal mirror is you want to make sure that the 8 edges, the 4 edges on the front and the 4 edges on the back, and the 8 corners, front and back, are smooth. Normally what I do is I use a piece of emery cloth, make myself a little sanding block, and smooth those down. Once I've done that, as we've seen in the prior video, and I'll put a link to it below, in the prior video we put on an aimer like that, made from the red retroreflective tape. White is too bright to use as an aimer. We use white to make targets. Talk about that in a minute. One thing about putting the aimer on the square foot mirror, unlike the small mirror where we typically put it in the center, in the square mirrors we typically put it in a corner. The reason for that is so your non-sighting eye, your free eye, can be used for situational awareness, for target acquisition, or the like. Let me turn off that distracting noise. So that's one thing. I've seen people put it in the center, but like I said, there are disadvantages for that. The aimer will work at long range just as well if it's at the corner as in the center or anywhere else. In fact, for testing purposes, I put aimers all over these mirrors. Alright, so you got the box, you've opened it. Be careful of the box, you may be reusing it. And we've softened the edges and corners, and we've put on our aimer. So next thing we do is we want to, we're going to do our best to keep from breaking this mirror, but our best may not be good enough. So what we're going to do next is we're going to put some sort of film on the back in case it does break, to try to keep as many pieces as possible from flying into your eye and flying all over the place, because you don't want to leave that broken glass for someone to step on and cut their foot or cut their hand when they're there. You want to gather it up, and so the film will really help with that. The simplest thing to use is just plain old shipping tape. You can put stripes horizontally, cover it with stripes vertically. That'll hold it together. If you want to get exotic about it, there are anti-shatter films sold both for window glass and for mirrors. I have not found a good retail source for the commercial anti-shatter material, but you will see it coming up. Alright, so you bought your mirror, you soften the edges, you put the aimer on, you put on the anti-shatter film. Another thing which you'll see coming up is when you're in the field, if you're holding the mirror and you're flashing somebody and something comes up, you hear on the radio there's another mountain, you want to know where that mountain is. In the past, I'd have to set the mirror down, pick up my notes, put my notes down, pick up the mirror. So a good tip is just tape to the back of the mirror your notes. Again, you can use something like masking tape that's removable, so you can reuse it for the next event, but the back of the mirror is a good place for notes. Alright, bought the mirror, softened the edges, put the aimer on, put the anti-shadow film on, put our notes. Now the problem is we got to get the mirror from here to the mountain and back again without breaking it. So for that we're going to want some sort of case. The low-hanging fruit is the box the mirror came in. It's exactly the right size. Now with 6 mirrors in it, that box is kind of heavy and you don't want 6 mirrors. The other thing is, like right now, it's wide open. The quick thing to do is put in the mirrors you want. You probably don't want more than 3 in a box because of the weight anyway. I usually restrict myself to, well, I have carried 3, but normally I would try to pack 2. And again, if it's quick and dirty, just wrap it up like a Christmas gift, you know, with ribbon both ways, tied securely, and that'll do. But if you want to make things more convenient yourself and make it fancier, you can make it fancier. And so I have an example here. So what I did here is, the first thing, I chose which flap I was going to want to use to get in and out. In this case, it's the top flap. And the bottom flap, I glued it back on, and I used shipping tape on both sides to reinforce it so it wouldn't come off. I put duct tape on the bottom because my intent is, when I set it on the ground, I'll set it on the duct tape, which will protect the cardboard. And you know, I put this end up and fragile glass. I also filled in the display hole that came in the box with corrugated cardboard, and it was my intent to tape it, cover that with shipping tape on the inside and the outside. Looks like I'll have to do the outside. The other thing I did, remember I said that the white reflective material was too bright to use as an aimer, is I made it into a target. I just cut it in half and used the self-adhesive to make a target. That way, for practice, I can set this up, prop it up against a tree, a stump, a rock, a backpack, or whatever, and flash to it. This, you will be able to see that flash back when you hit it if it's 150 yards away using this mirror. And in fact, you'll be able to see that flash back even though when you're on target, it is covered by the red dot. This white will be bright enough for you to see through the red dot at 150 yards. And if you can't see it, then your companions can. So if you want to go to slightly further ranges, you can try to hit it and they can call out to you when you succeed. All right, so first step, you know, first order of business for packaging, the box it came in, which it can be as simple as wrapping up like a Christmas gift, or you can get fancy like I did here with the duct tape. I do suggest that even if you're making it easy, that you plug that hole, because that's completely exposed as is. And in this case, I put a Velcro closure on it. What I also did is, because I'm only carrying 2 mirrors in there, to fill the space and provide padding, I used shipping foam. This closed cell shipping foam is very convenient because it comes perforated. It's a foot wide and it comes perforated every foot. So I just tear off one of those. It's the perfect size to provide packaging. So in here, the top layer is a piece of shipping foam. The next layer is, here I was able to obtain a commercial mirror. So this is the commercial anti-shatter film. Looks like I may have added some duct tape here, I don't know. I had intended, haven't gotten around to experimenting with different types of reflective material, so I've started the process of putting another 11 or so aimers on here. But you can see this is the back of the red reflective tape. I punched the hole in it, and there's the there's your aimer right there. and again I put it near the corner. Like I said, you open the package, there's a layer of foam, there's the first mirror, there's a layer of foam, there's a second mirror, and then there's another layer of foam in the back. In this case, I actually glued the last piece of foam to the cardboard because I don't need to handle it, and it's just one last thing to be playing with when I take things in and out. Alright, your best bet, your easiest bet for a package to take the mirrors up the mountain is the package it came in. However, it comes with 6 mirrors and it makes a heavy package, and you're probably going to want to distribute that. So the problem with using the built-in packaging is even if you put 2 mirrors per package, you need 2 more packages. One thing that's very convenient and something I've actually used for years, and in fact I've used this particular package for years, is I just go to the local pizza parlor and I say, hey, I'd like to buy a couple of empty medium pizza boxes, the 12-inch on a side size. Sometimes they take my money, sometimes they just give them to me, but even if they take my money, it's not mine. Anyway, and get newspaper. Anyway, so pizza box is a good choice. And I've used this one probably for the better part of 10 years. So, and 2 events per year. So they last, and if they wear out, it's easy to get another one. I've also made purpose-built containers. This one's made out of black foam board. It's got the Velcro cover, and the reason it has the Velcro cover is I lent this out to a team, and when they brought it back, the mirror was broken. Thankfully, due to the tape and everything, the pieces held together. They were able to bring it back to me in the same container. However, I didn't want it broken, and what had happened is this was not marked saying which side was up, and they had upside down, and the mirror just slipped out. So that's why ever since I've put the Velcro on. You see I've also put the target on. I've also, because foam board is just rigid foam covered with paper, I have laminated the outside of this with shipping tape, which is a good idea for any cardboard container. If it gets wet, it won't get all soggy, and it provides a little bit of extra protection. I've also I made an even fancier one here. This one does say which end is up. It does have the target. It does have the Velcro. It does warn people that it's fragile. I did protect the edges with shipping tape. In this case, because the end was open, I actually added, I don't know if this is horsehair or what, but I added a protective bar here and the back. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. And remember, don't cut yourself, don't blind anyone, and don't cry wolf. Thank you for watching. Bye.